Oh my gosh, you did it. That was seamless.
Oh, I thank you.
Oh, I like your lip color. Yeah.
I'm coming out of the frumpy
okay, this was
mom's newborn phase, you know?
mm-hmm. Just in time. Let me catch you up to speed. The 90s are back in style. So you haven't missed us. You haven't missed
I haven't been having kids for that long period. But I love the 90s are back in style. That's like our jam, you know?
Yeah, like this. Or this is
you're popping
the pop collar. This guy's not. Again. All right. Oh, I'm waving at people. People are coming on. This is fun.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here today.
Okay. Yeah, I told everyone what we're talking about. Love and relationships and the relationship between love and relationships. But you can get us started.
All right. Well, you know, as I've been thinking about this topic, the biggest thing that I want to dispel today is that in order to be in relationship with someone or even with yourself, that you have to have the vibration of love. Because I really see that love is an advanced spiritual skill. It's an advanced spiritual skill that you have to learn and you actually have to practice. So here at Boulder Psychic Institute, we don't even really touch love until more advanced classes. I mean, we do one class on love in the Enlightenment program, but we focus it more on how to share love in more of a pure form with another person. But really, any spiritual skill, you first have to be able to apply it to yourself first and foremost, or to me, it doesn't really mean anything. Furthermore, if you can't really apply it to yourself, then you can't really share it with others, right? So, and I kind of got sidetracked. Here at the BPI, we teach clairvoyance, right? Which that has everything to do with working on your sixth chakra and opening that up so that you can start to not only see energy, but have a clear perspective of the world around you and your place in it. You know, we can also train you on clairaudience, which has everything to do with the fifth chakra. Telepathy, you know, has everything to do with managing and cleaning out that fifth chakra. You know, there's claircognizance, everything to do with that seventh chakra where you just kind of know things. All these things are kind of one chakra abilities. But then there's like more advanced concepts, like, you know, if you want to learn how to master telekinesis, right? You have to learn a line, right? Advanced, right? You have to learn how to align your crown chakra with your first chakra and then your hand chakras. And you have to learn how to get those all working in harmony with each other to be able to have that skill called telekinesis. Or what do we have? We have psychometry, where you can where you can touch things and kind of read the energy of who had it, who owned it, right? And that has a lot to do with aligning the crown chakra and the sixth chakra in the hands, right? So like these are like multiple chakra skills where, you know, BPI, like most of our, you know, 3-4 years of training has everything to do with one chakra, right? Transmedium program, your ability to leave and enter your body consciously, that's a crown chakra skill, right? Sometimes we add some of the creative rings to that, but, you know, generally we're talking like one chakra. Can we just do one chakra thing at a time, right?
Yeah, I haven't moved the chair yet, and I've been hanging around the BPI for years.
You can move a car, I'm sure. No, but then love, right? Love to me is an advanced spiritual concept because 3 chakras you have to learn how to really align, and that's the fifth chakra, the fourth chakra, and the third chakra. And you have to really learn how to harmonize those and utilize those in alignment with each other so that you can create the vibration of love. A lot of people think that love really only has to do with the fourth chakra. They're like, oh, the fourth chakra, that love chakra. It's all about love right here. But even that to me is a misconception, because the fourth chakra has more to do with your affinity, your attraction to yourself, right? And again, we're talking about all of these spiritual skills. You got to be able to apply them to yourself first and foremost. And then maybe you can attempt applying it to those around you, right? So if we just take that fourth chakra, are you attracted to yourself? We use the terminology here at BPI. Do you like yourself? Do you have a positive self-image? You know, if you like yourself, you're going to generally be attracted to yourself, and hence on a soul level, want to be more in your body and with your body, right? And when, very simply put, right, if we want to talk about love just in terms of that fourth chakra and kind of play with the rest of society and kind of where they think love comes from, right, then that vibration of love could possibly come as a byproduct of having a healthy self-image in that fourth chakra, right? But when really practicing love as an actual skill, you have to add communication, right? You have to be able to be in clear communication with yourself. Sometimes I talk about it in terms of, can you hear your inner voice? Can you access your inner truth, right? From there, right, we also have the third chakra, right, at the solar plexus, which has to do with reality, right? Can you can you act on these three chakras aligning, and in reality, in the body, take action and be inspired to share in the vibration of love, first and foremost with yourself. And then as a byproduct, you can attempt to practice it with others, right? So love is an advanced spiritual concept, right? It's not just a fourth chakra thing. So, and to be able to relate with somebody, right, you don't really have to have love, right? You don't have to have all of those aligned. There's people who are in relationship with each other and they call it love, but maybe they're just really good at communicating, right? And they hook up or get married because they're really good at communicating. And it's like, oh yeah, well, we can communicate really well, right? We talk really well, but then that becomes a couple who maybe doesn't act on their love as much, or, you know, they're just kind of talking heads in relationship together. Then you might have like a couple who's relating together through two chakras, right? Maybe, you know, they're really attracted to each other and they can really act on that and, you know, do things in that relationship together in reality in the body. But maybe they don't communicate well, right? But they're still in relationship, right? And so that's where I really want to unravel those two concepts, in that, you know, you can still relate to a person and not have to have the vibration of love. I see that what can be the most healthy form of being in relationship with yourself or anyone else is to just really be real about it, right? Like, yeah, we're in a partnership where we really communicate well, and that's what we got going on, and that's our relationship. And if you're wanting it to be something more or pretending it's something that it's not, then that's where the pain comes in. That's where the expectation and the longing and the regret or the frustration or the fantasy can really blow up any relationship.
Okay, cool. I have questions. So you're saying love is between the fifth, fourth, and the third. So how you act and do things in reality, and how you're in your body, how you communicate, and then your fourth, your affinity with yourself. Do you think that love is this vibration you bring in to those three chakras? That's like this, you know, because I've said this kind of like, where there's love and then there's relationships. They're two different things. Relationships are a project, and love is this like eternal vibration that we all have access to. We all have an abundance of. We all can bring it into our body and relate to everything and everyone through this love. And then when you are doing that, you tend to be just relating to the world around you in this like sparkly way. So, and then when it comes to relating to someone, you say, oh, then you have to bring in these three chakras.
Well, if you want to,
back here?
Well, if you, we all have access to the vibration of love through aligning those three chakras and having them harmonize and being able to consciously participate with those three vibrations, first and foremost within yourself, right? You got to be able to love yourself before you can share that with somebody else. So
you kind of make the vibration with
you bring that in through aligning those as a skill. See, and that's the thing. See, a lot of people are like, love, it's like this, it's this thing, right? And it's this sparkly thing, and it just kind of is, right? And what I'm saying is that you can actually learn how to create the vibration of love in a more concrete way, in a practiced way, and apply it.
So what's happening when you meet somebody and you just feel like $1,000,000 and you feel all sparkly and amazing? Or we got a dog in December and he's ruining my life. He's pooping all over the house. And today I looked at him and I was like, I just feel complete love, even though I hate you. Where did that come from? What's happening with me? I love him. Or when I met my husband, when I met some of my partners, it's like, that like, and I know enough that doesn't, you got to like work at things that doesn't last. But how do you get, can you have that feeling outside of a relationship, or do you only get that? That's the one that I think when people are single and they're lonely and they want to connect and they're like, I'm missing out on this being in love and being in partnership and being in community. So what is your take on what's happening when and
I think we have to break this up into two segments. There's what's happening when two people come together, and there's this like, oh my goodness, right? And
I still love my husband.
Yeah, well, and then
18 years later,
how do you maintain the practice of love, after all of that excitement fades, right? Yeah. And so,
right.
Oftentimes what happens when two people come together, and this is where it has to do with karma, okay? And karma, just as a very short sidebar, right, is not necessarily this thing where there's like this dude up in the sky who's like the karma police saying, 3, you were a jerk, so you have -5 karma points today. And, oh wait, now you did something nice for an old lady, so you got 2 karma points today, so you're at -3. It's not this concept that a lot of people think it is, where there's this dude up in the sky kind of keeping track and, tallying points, right? Karma has more to do with an unmet desire that you actually hold within yourself as a soul, right? So in terms of love and relationships, right, what can oftentimes happen is, let's say you and I, were, lovers in a lifetime. Woo, scandalous. Right? But let's say, we were like lovers in a lifetime, and something horrible happened to you, and I had this unmet desire of like, oh, but I really need 3 back.
I'm gonna like hauled off to war, and I'm like, Miwa, wait for me.
Right? Well, and we can shift that, right? You were like, Miwa, wait for you, and I didn't.
See, that's like negative 100 points.
Yeah, right? And so that negative 100 points is actually you tallying that within yourself. Oh, negative 100 points. I'm going to go find Miwa in a future lifetime and I'm going to make her wait for me, you know? And right. And then you know how that might play out, right?
I opened the door to the BBA. Gotcha.
Right.
Now who's home? That's funny.
I love you.
I don't
know,
know what that
right?
means at this point.
So, right,
Sorry,
like you're holding that negative 100 karma points, like I will get Miwa, right? And so unconsciously in a future lifetime, that like unmet desire of like, I will make Miwa wait for me is a vibration that you carry within yourself. You're the karma police for yourself. You carry that, right? And then when we, you know, collide in a future lifetime, right? You're like, I will have you, right? And I will make you wait for me, right? And so you could like totally like make me fall in love with you and then go fall in love with somebody else, right? And then, you know, like I'm like waiting for you to forever in this lifetime to, you know, kind of get it together so that we can be together, you know, so that karma could play out in that way, right? Or, right, you went to war and you know, you died and I'm like, oh, I missed 3. I want 3 back, right? And so let's say that's, you know, negative 50 karma points or whatever, right? And so I'm holding that for myself as my own karma police. And so that desire is going to magnetize us to each other in a future lifetime to where then, you know, we'll come together and I'll be like, oh, 3, right? And what oftentimes happens is in either situation, when we come together in that future lifetime, that flood of like, oh my God, there's 3. She's back in my world. Oh my God.
My boyfriend's back.
And that like flood of excitement, this is going to sound super unsexy and unromantic, is that what's actually happening there is all the negative karma I was holding, those 50 points to get you back, right? Or the negative 100 that you were holding so that I would wait for you again, right? When we come together, all of our energy comes back to ourselves, right? And so all of a sudden I'm flooded and I'm getting my own energy back and I'm feeling good on top of the world because I'm getting that negative 50 points back. And I'm like, ah. And if I'm not psychic, I'm going to be like, oh, it's all 3. It's all 3. 3's doing it to me. 3's the one. 3's making me feel good. 3's making me feel all sparkly. Woo! Right? So then I'm thinking that, right? And then I'm thinking it's all you, when in reality, on a spiritual mechanical level, I'm just getting my energy back and I'm starting to feel good because I'm getting more of my life force, my vitality back. And I'm like, yeah, right? What oftentimes happens in a relationship is once both parties are done getting their energy back, right? Then it's like, yo, right? And then that's why a lot of relationships kind of go woo, and then they just kind of peter out, right? There's like that statistic, like after 7 years, if you know, like most relationships break up right around that 7-year point, because that's when, you know, you get so much of your energy back that it's like, yeah, you're not doing it for me anymore. But it's really not you who's not doing it for me. It's that I've got my energy back and I'm wanting to go find my next karmic person to get more of my energy back.
Did you just ruin chemistry for me though? Like, because like, you know, when you have chemistry with someone and you're like, dude, like, let's just like get this going.
That's all karma.
You're just saying that's all karma.
Another way to say that in more of like the more traditional sense is that's all your neuroses kind of coming out.
So This is
I know,
a giant
right?
buzzkill.
I know.
I mean, so I mean, because like, okay, there's like love at first sight. You're just saying that karma, or you know, chemistry with someone, karma.
Or being Twitter
Um,
hated by somebody, it's usually your neuroses, right? It's like,
Twitter.
I need to undress you, right? That's usually some
Yeah.
neuroses, right? I'll always tell um, students, you know, and spoiler alert, I might even say this in our spiritual dating class that's starting next week. join. Um, but I'll always advise to people, you know, don't try to date the tens on a scale of like 0 to 10. If a hottie is a 10, where it's like, oh my God, I need to rip your freaking clothes off right now in this very moment. And do you like just stand me up against the wall and do you, right? Like that person is going to be more your neuroses of like what you think you should have, what you think you want, what you think you're attracted to, right? And I always say kind of date down a little bit, like a 6 or a 7, right? Where it's like,
They can
yeah,
cook.
you don't want a
They have to
0. I mean,
work
you
for
know,
it a
like
little
you want a
more.
little bit of like, yeah, I kind of like how they look, you know, like you don't want a 0, but because 6 or 7 is like, yeah, you know, but then that way you can advocate for yourself. You can say, here's what I would like to have in order to, you know, give you this. Let's, you know, I would like this in return. You can advocate more for yourself because you're not so
Yeah.
in that neurotic kind of state. Super boring,
Um,
I know.
let's say we live in. Let's say we've all gone to a decade of school at the Boulder Psychic
Every,
Institute, cleared all this karma, and are like, oh, yeah, I'm seeing Miwa. That these feelings I have, just karma. I mean, when I first joined the BPI, I remember the first time I saw you, you were pregnant. You were all luscious and juicy. And I was like, that's just cute. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Um,
pregnancy, right? When a woman's
what was it?
pregnant, you know, they are running at a high energy, like, you know, the highest point of female body power is I am creating life like God, right? And that vibration is beautiful and attractive. And, you know, that's why when you see a pregnant woman, you're like, yeah, holler, right?
Okay. Okay. So that and your boobs were bigger, but no, I'm kidding. um, so if we lived in this world where we're just like, oh, that's my karma, that's karma, I'll just clear that karma, we just be like robots and we would just pair up with anybody then? Because I mean, sometimes I get stuck in this thought of there's 8 billion people on this planet. There should be no problem connecting with a spouse, a lover, a boy toy, girl toy, whatever you want. It should take you 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot of us. So, and then it's like, why is it so hard? And if we were just like, no chemistry, no instant attraction, no vibing together, because that's all karma, would we just kind of be robot
Well,
partnerships?
that's a hard one to answer because karma makes the world go round. You know, karma is this amazing, intricate weave, and that's why people come together, and that's how the world is the way it is. So I think that whole belief or perfection desire to like never have any karma at all to me is it was a thought that I had in my 20s and was like, yeah, I'm gonna clear all my karma and be karma free. And then as I'm getting older, right, and recognizing all these people in my world and my universe and why they're coming to me, it's like, yeah, there's karma. So I'm less motivated to get rid of all the karma and more curious about the karma, right? And so being more curious about the karma and understanding how it works. For example, my husband and I came together. There was this flood. I got my energy back. He got some of his energy back. And then, you know, once all that enthusiasm dies down, it's like, okay, well, we don't have to end our marriage over that. Like now the question is, which is exactly what you're talking about, right? Now the question is, what do we want to create together now? Do we want to accrue more karma? Do we want
Yeah.
to, by having kids, right?
Great, more karma. I'm going to pick up this vase and throw it at you. Okay.
Right.
Karma. My husband and I are on our fifth marriage,
Yeah.
meaning we're like in the fifth iteration of the same marriage. So we will stop and be like, okay, now what's our marriage? Because if you want the first marriage,
yeah,
that's gone.
And especially if you got married right after that explosion of energy, that's probably never gonna come back again. But what I love about being psychic is, just being real. Like, here's just how stuff works. I'm not in fantasy about like there's gonna be this mad rush all the time, right? And so, yeah, fifth, sixth, seventh iteration of marriage, I think, is amazing, and that's why the Celtics have that whole practice of hand fasting, right? Once a year, they come back together and they recommit to the marriage and recommit to what it is in present time and what they're going to create from right now. And I find that a very beautiful practice. And I think that that's really important in any relationship, whether love is there or not, is to continue to renegotiate or kind of update all of your agreements to present time. Like, here's where we are now. And what do we want to create now? Okay, we got all of our energy back. All that excitement's kind of gone. Well, now what do we want to do now? How do we want to proceed together now? And then do that again, every year or every few years, right? That's brilliant.
Yeah. I remember the feeling of being single in my 20s and all my friends were getting married. And I had a hard time connecting. Now I love to love people. I want to love everybody. I want to love my friends. To me, it's like, what's the point if we're not loving each other? But in my 20s, everyone got married before I did. I was feeling like I'd just been skipped. It was never going to happen to me. So if you had been saying this stuff to me, I'm not sure what I would do with this information. Like, well, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm lonely and I want a boyfriend or a girlfriend or, so what's your advice to people that are like, hey, I'm lonely. I want to be with someone. I mean, what's this business with my chakras? Can't I just hook up? Like, why is it so hard?
It absolutely makes sense. There's so many
sense?
different directions. And of course, there's the cheesy one of like, well, you got to love yourself and you have to have yourself, When
people would tell me that, I would just be like,
I think that it's a both end. You can do that, right? And also seek out partnership or, a one night stand or a sex buddy or a cuddle buddy or, whatever it is. But the big problem that a lot of younger folks go through is that they are seeing these people who are married and they're thinking that has to be the end goal, right? That's the end all be all, where I just want to get married and have kids. And, that's a big social construct that a lot of people do follow, and that is a great way to continue to propagate the species. I get that. But having that be the end result has a person who's maybe not totally ready for marriage, like, be in fantasy about trying to get to here instead of just taking like one step at a time, right? One step at a time, right? And breaking it down into steps. So when I was in my 20s, and not married, and all of my friends are married, saying, Miwa, when are you going to get married? And I was kind of a jerk about it and would say, yeah, I'm going to be married when you're divorced.
Ooh. Burn!
And it was true, I'll get married when you're getting divorced, and, I'll kind of be really ready for, this thing, because it's like, I really want to be married and be married for the rest of this lifetime and go through all the different iterations of marriage like you're doing too, and, the different levels and layers of intimacy and how all that comes to play. And I really want to get into that and explore that. I don't want to just have kids and then get divorced. Like that's, I'm not getting married to procreate, right? Some people get married to procreate. That's okay if you're just honest about it, right? Like that's my big thing today, I think, is like just get real about where you're at and what you're doing, and don't pretend that you're doing something else. Right? Like I, did not want to just get married to procreate. I wanted to get married to have a partner and procreate, right? And so breaking it down into those steps of like, or steps of like what you can create in relationship and being real about it, I think is really important. So I was engaged for 7 years in my 20s, and then at 28 found myself single again, back on the market. And I was like, oh my God, what is this dating thing now? Because when I was, 19, 20, before I met that guy that I was engaged to and broke up with 7 years later, like people dated and then they decided if they wanted to have sex, and then all of a sudden, like 8 years later, it's like people are like dating to have sex. Yeah, and then they're like deciding if they want to date. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a totally different game. I have no, certainty or seniority around how to approach this. This is all weird, right? Like, oh my God, I don't know how to play this game. I don't know how to approach this, right? So I took it in steps, right? So I got on, a dating app. Back then it was Match.com, right? And instead of dating to get married, I knew I wasn't anywhere close to ready for that. I dated to practice saying no. I went on 3 dates a week, right? As I was building Boulder Psychic Institute, I had a lot more time back then. It was a lot.
Yeah, 3 days a week.
I learned, like, don't do dinner, because then there's, like, weird obligation stuff. Do tea, tea can last 5 minutes. It can last 6 hours, right? But I practiced just every date just saying no. No, thank you. Do you want to do another date? No, thanks. And I just learned how to say no.
That's hard. It's hard to say no.
Oh my goodness.
Especially if it's like a perfectly nice what's really hard is to say no to a woman. That's like a whole next level of like, I know, it's so bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and that's the difference between a male-bodied person and a female-bodied person, is that because of our evolution, and male bodies, generally speaking, are designed to be physically bigger and stronger, right? The kind of caveman design was that the men would be the providers and the protectors because they have bigger bodies. The female bodies being smaller, generally speaking, right? Less testosterone, generally speaking. The design is more for the female-bodied person to try to be pleasing to that male-bodied person. Would you keep me alive?
For another day?
There is a saber-toothed tiger out to get me, and can I be in your cave, please? Would you go club that thing with the big club, and I will make babies and cook for you, right? And that's kind of the old design, and it's not necessarily as applicable in this day and age, but it is part of our genetic encoding, so it's still in there. And so that's where a female-bodied person really has a difficult time with saying no and receiving a no, right? I would go on these dates, and it didn't matter if the dude was seriously hot or not hot at all. Like, I did not want to be rejected. Like, did not want to be rejected.
Oh.
I was like, no, it doesn't matter. Do you like me? Do you like me? And that's why I was going in on those dates 3 days a week to be like, just no, not interested. Oh my God, you're so hot. I want to rip your clothes off right now. I totally want a yes, but I'm gonna say no, and I would just practice saying no and practice.
And why did you want to learn why did you want to get better at saying no?
So that I could be in better communication with myself, hear my inner voice, my truth, so that when I am confronted, after I kind of worked on that phase, when I am confronted with a hottie and potentially wanting to have bodies collide and get naked, I would have more access to my fifth chakra to advocate for myself, to say, here's what I'd like, here's what I need, you know, here are my deal breakers, you know, here's what I need to feel safe. Right? I needed to learn how to advocate for myself. And a lot of young people in their 20s don't have that.
Right. They don't know how to make it about you. You know, it's easy to go, Miwa, do the dishes, it's you, you're the problem, versus here's what I need, you know, and here's what I'm going to do if I don't get my needs met, and not have it be this passive aggressive manipulative thing. That's a tricky one, and to be able to clearly articulate it. I think I was sort of just naturally mean in the beginning of our marriage, which was a different way of just saying, like, I just was very like, no, this is, you know, this is how this has to be. And it was that good or bad, I don't know, but I definitely, you know, we are not like keep our mouth shut types that say yes dear for a decade and then walk out the door one day. So that's a good skill to learn. Can you articulate what you need and want in a relationship? What is your absolute deal breakers? Are you asking for too much? Some people ask for too much,
or they're thinking they want a lot and they're not saying it, and so the other person has no clue, right? Mm-hmm. And so developing that first chakra and kind of taking it in chunks. And I do want to give you some props. I remember back in the day, and you still use this phrase, where you would separate out things with your husband and say, is this a relationship issue or is this a roommate issue? Right? And I love that one, because sometimes I'll approach my husband and be like, we have a roommate thing. You gotta do your dishes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the roommate part is the hard part.
I agree.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, so that's what I would say to the younger folks is take it in steps. It's okay. Be real with yourself. Here's what I'm good at with regards to relating to people. Here are my weaknesses, and let me build on my weaknesses. Let me strengthen them. Right? Before I try to take 20 steps all the way to marriage and then end up in something that we're calling marriage that is a bit of a mess.
Would you say that, so when you say work with your weaknesses, could you work with those three chakras? Like, okay, like, I'm a good communicator. My affinity with myself is pretty good. Third chakra, maybe I have a hard time getting things done. You know, would you break it down that way of like, what are my weaknesses within these three chakras?
Well, if you're wanting a marriage with a lot of love in it, I remember when I first started dating my husband, I was like, you know, he was talking about how his previous relationship was a heart chakra relationship and how the one before that was more of a second chakra relationship. And I was like, well, what are you looking for now? And he said, all 7. And I was like, I like that, right? And so I would even expand that to, you know, are you in full communication with yourself, right? Can you take care of your body, right? Can you get out of bed? Can you feed yourself? Are you hydrating enough? Are you exercising? Can you take care of yourself? I mean, my husband, you know, he said one of my biggest selling points was that as a 30-year-old woman, when I met him, I owned a house and I had a career and was earning money. Maybe not a whole lot, but I was on track, you know, and to him that was very marketable because he wanted a woman who could care for herself. He didn't want to have to be somebody's dad, right? Which a lot of women, right? I want to get married so I have a retirement plan. Right? I want that man to provide and protect for me so much that I actually don't have to learn how to take care of myself. I don't know if that's cool, you know.
That you have to own it. You have to own it. If you're gonna play that game of like, Miwa, I'm gonna marry you because I want you to put me in a house and pay my bills and make it all go. If I'm transparent about that, you know, in the first date, you should be like asking for financials. And then say, if you become not sugar mama Miwa, sugar mama Miwa, then I'm out. And, but like I don't like. I think
No, well, and
own it,
absolutely,
I
right?
guess.
So again,
But
go back to the theme. You just got to be real, right? With here's what I want and here's what I'm capable of or not capable of. For me, I wanted to, have my own house, have my own income, have my own career. I was actually dating somebody previous to that and discovered that if we had kids, he would want me to stop working. And I was like, oh, we're breaking up now. This is a non-negotiable. This is BPI, Boulder Psychic Institute, is my life's passion, my life's work. Like nobody, that's is
your
a big girlfriend. Mistress. Yeah. Right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna, that's my very first baby, and I'm not gonna give that up for.
Yeah. Ooh. Hey, we have a question. This from Miss Jules. Can we play out karma on the astral with astral relationships?
Yeah, karma can be played out in the body or spiritually in either direction. The big concern that I notice with a lot of spiritual people is that they try to replace getting closure or completing something in the body with, I'm just going to do it spiritually. And so oftentimes I'll see students do energy work to kind of heal a relationship and try to get closure with that instead of using their words, right? So often they will replace the energy work with what actually sometimes really needs to be done in reality, in the body. Sometimes you got to use your words. You got to talk to people, or you have to interact with that person to get that closure. I have lots of students who are stuck on like a past relationship for years and years and years and years. They can't move on because they can't confront that person and get the closure that they need. So sure, yeah, you can play it out, and sometimes you can clear that. But if you're stuck in a cycle, you got to bring it into the body and confront that person, right? Just like with that karma, right? I needed to find 3 to get my 50 points of energy back, because I wanted her back, right?
What if you can't find them? Then it's like a matter of like,
you'll find them sooner or later in a lifetime.
I'm coming for you.
I always threaten my students that I'll come back and be their child. Be careful, I'll reincarnate as your kid.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So you do that, and you're like, well, here I am in diapers. Okay. I want to circle back to like the love vibration, because I think I usually talk about like you bring love into your body, you bring love into a partnership. The partnership doesn't create the love. But I was just kind of, you're saying it's not this thing you bring in, that you create it with your 3 chakras.
Yeah, well, you do bring it in on a soul level. You bring yourself into your body and you align with these 3 chakras, and you actually utilize them to create the vibration of love within you. Like I'm giving it more of a concrete way to work with it, instead of like, I just kind of take these little love sparkles, I think, and bring it in, right? So I'm just giving it a little bit more of, here's mechanically how those come together, and you bring yourself spiritually into your body, access and align those 3 chakras, and actually utilize them first and foremost within yourself. I can hear my truth. I have good inner communication. I'm attracted to myself. I generally like myself. And, I am in reality. I'm committed to my body. I'm committed to my lifetime, and I can do stuff in my body, right? I'm not laying on the couch drooling, right? And then from there, I can apply those vibrations in, let's say, relationship with you, right? Like, oh, hi, 3, we can communicate, I'm attracted to you. I like you, like, right? And I can take action and hang out with you and interact with you. And right. So there's that vibration that we're then sharing. Right.
Okay, that's good. We have another question. Can you see it? Do we have to do the first chakra first if you've gotten out of affinity and out of taking care of yourself? So that sounds like if you've gotten away from your self-care, from your relationship with yourself,
I am a
start
big proponent of the first chakra is just as holy as the other chakras. And that, God or Supreme Being or whatever, or our design is that we have a first chakra, and it's just as important as these upper chakras that a lot of spiritual people like put so much focus and attention on that they forget to take care of the lower chakras. And that first chakra is the chakra that gets dissed the most and picked on the most. It's the chakra that's close to your butt, you gotta poop out of that chakra, the most attention it gets. Anyway, never mind. But if you will.
Or we just think we're covered. Yeah, I've got a roof, I've got water.
I think just to be a human being on the planet, first chakra is a daily practice, right? And if you're not taking care of that, it's to some degree, right? You don't have to be like wealthy, but can you bathe and feed and clothe yourself, right? I think that those are very important, just basic human necessities, right?
Yeah, I think that's good advice to start with the first chakra, start with your body, work up from there. And yeah, are you taking care of yourself? Are you listening to your body? Or you hoping someone else will? I think people hold themselves hostage. Like, I will be happy when love happens to me, when I'm in a relationship, and then I'll start living. And until then, I'll just be kind of incomplete. And no, this is it. This is today, right now. I mean, I met my husband after I gave up. Like, I had come out of this relationship, and I was like, at the time, all the online dating was starting, and I just thought, oh, I can't do that. I'm not doing that. And I prayed this prayer that was so, it just felt so right at the time. It was just, God, you're God, so that feels like a big deal. And I'm not doing this. I'm not going to look for a husband. I'm done. I'm not going to walk into parties and be like, is he there? And I just want to live. And I'm just going to live my life. And if I was like in a Christian mindset at the time, like, if you want me to have a husband, then fine, that's your problem. And then I met, but I just really like let go. I let go of trying, let go of looking, let go. I'm just going to live my life. And I think I came into my body. And then 4 days later, and I meant it. I was like, I don't care, I'm out. And I was 27. I was like, retired. I'm taking my retirement package and I'm out. And 4 days later, I meet this nice Jewish boy, and we're like, that was 18 years ago, and it's good. But
right. Well,
it's interesting and when you let go.
A lot of people think letting go means I've resigned and I'm leaving my body. I'm not committed to my body. I'm not committed to my life. But what you actually did there is you were like, I'm just going to live my life. I'm just going to do me. Right? I'm just going to live my life. And so mechanically what did happen, absolutely, you came into your body. And because you were in your body, you glowed. And your husband was like, holler, she's hot. Look at her. She's in her body, living her life. I want that. I want to be in relationship with that. And that to me is very attractive, right? When somebody's in their body,
yeah,
that's super hot. It doesn't matter what facial features or body type you have. If you're in your body, yeah, I can dig on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a bold statement. I wish it'd be nice to see people relate to each other and connect with each other and have sex with each other without maybe relax if you're not in love. Like, it can still be super sweet and super connected and super respectful. Like, everything is like, we have to be in love. Like, you see people who haven't had sex in years and like, I connect. You know, like you don't have to have this love thing all the time. I mean, I think you can be in love and have it. You can be in love in a one night stand, I think, where you're like, I love this. I love you. I feel all this. And like, this is what we're doing. And tomorrow we're going to say goodbye. Or, you know, maybe we're going to do this for 2 weeks, or I don't know, you know, or just even, you know, the interesting thing with non-monogamy is when you're like, oh, this doesn't end in marriage. We're together.
Yeah.
We want to be together, but this is a choice. So I sometimes tell young people, like, relax with the love stuff. You know, can you, and it doesn't mean you have to be shut down and cold and icy, you know, like, can you connect without loving on,
Well,
you know,
absolutely.
being in this
Because
huge
again,
vibration.
love is an advanced spiritual skill. Very few human beings on the planet are actually producing the vibration of love. There are so many love games out there, right? I will love you if you do this for me. Please love me in this way, or it needs to happen like this, or, you know, tit for tat. All of the love games that we kind of say is love. Again, back to, let's just be real. That's not love. That's not love, right? And what you're saying is that you have such a well-developed fifth chakra that you can communicate and say, hey, I can be real with you. I just want to have a one-night stand. I just want to have this enjoyable evening with you, and let's play and, you know, get it on and really enjoy each other. And does it really have to go anywhere? But that communication, you've had that covered, and hence that's why you're able to do that so easily.
I haven't had a one night stand in years. But I mean, like, in a relationship where you're like, this isn't on a track.
Oh yeah.
This is just it. This just is, and we don't have it all figured out. And maybe we're not going to get married.
Yeah, I
and
had a
still
lover
connect. You know,
a good portion of my dating years, and you know, we totally adored each other. There was actually love there, but we just knew we would never make a good marriage. You know, we would never make a good marriage, but man, we had great sex and we had great conversation. And, you know, he actually even helped me with certain things around my house. Like he was very helpful and amazing, but we, you know, because we actually, like, second time we hooked up, we communicated that we would be horrible as a married couple. You know, we were able to, like, just have so much fun for so many years together, you know? Mm-hmm.
yeah. We have one more question that we should answer, which is where we have to wrap up, which is what kind of topics are we going to cover in our
so
dating
next Friday,
class?
Spiritual Dating 101.
I'm excited.
How to date like a psychic.
Yeah, we're going to cover knowing what you want, setting boundaries, knowing your deal breakers,
communicating those deal breakers,
what else are we doing?
making dating more about you and your truth, right? Instead of trying to figure out what the other person wants and what the other person likes and leaving your body and going over to them, which I already said is not hot, right? And tuning into yourself. And then also talking about how there's so many fish in the sea, and it's not that you have a lack of options. You just need to learn how to sort through all the options to get to 8 billion.
8 billion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So come join us, because we're actually going to skip our Instagram Live in March so that we can teach our spiritual dating class, and then we'll be back on April 21st. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, and we were going to ask you guys what you want to hear on our next Instagram Live. If you have any ideas, you can
drop it in the comments,
write it in, DM us. Yeah, put it in the comments. Like what you guys want to hear us. What you want Miwa to ruin. Have you heard that show? Adam ruins everything. Miwa ruins everything. Yeah, chemistry ruined.
Right? It's just
great.
It's. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we should talk about money. I want to ruin that. Yeah. Or you were throwing around the idea of spiritual parenting.
I can ruin that in so many ways.
I'm doing a pretty good job ruining it. Oh.
Right?
All right. Well, I feel like we could go another hour. I still want to dialogue about this, but we'll
Yeah,
do it in our
absolutely.
Zoom
Yeah.
class.
All right, everyone. Well, love you.
We did it.
We've
Yeah,
got
I
the
love
chakras
you. I know.
aligned,
Right.
all the sparks.
Yes. Yes. All right. Goodbye, everybody.